லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க, கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க, சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க. நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Question number 1. On the walls of the cells, the pressure exerted by the swelling protoplast is. When a plant cell is placed in pure water, due to the entry of water inside the cell by endosmosis, the cell swells but never bursts. Due to the entry of water, the plasma membrane exerts some pressure on the cell wall. Such hydrostatic pressure is called as turgor pressure. This pressure, in the simpler words, is due to increase in the turgidity of the cell when the cell absorbs water from the surrounding medium. So the answer for this question is option D, turgor pressure. 2. Choose the correct option from the given taxonomic category. Taxonomic hierarchy is the system of arrangement of taxonomic categories in descending order. It was introduced by Linnaeus in the year of 1751, who initially proposed 5 categories such as class, order, genus, species, and variety. The placement of individuals or organisms in taxonomic categories is determined by their specific similar characters, dissimilarities, complexity, and evolutionary relationship. So the answer for this question is option A, species. Question number 3. A desired gene segment is inserted at the SAL restriction site in PBR 322 plasmid. The resulting plasmid will confer resistance to. Plasmid PBR 322 contains 2 resistant genes, namely ampicillin resistant gene and tetracycline resistant genes. These resistant genes are used as selectable markers. Besides, this plasmid has a variety of unique restriction recognition or restriction sites for restriction endonucleases. Insertion of a DNA segment into the plasmid using enzyme. The answer for this question is option A, ampicillin. Question number 4. In the life cycle of Plasmodium vivax, some stages may survive for long periods in liver as dormant stages known as. The most common and widespread malaria parasite is Plasmodium vivax. It has a dormant stage in the human liver, which makes it difficult to eradicate. This dormant stage increases the possibility for the parasite to reach the vector for sexual reproduction. The sporozoites invade the cells of the salivary gland in the vector and the hepatocytes in the human. Some of the sporozoites develop into hypnozoites in the human liver. The hypnozoite is activated when it recognizes the same anaphylaxis specific protein which it had previously recognized as the sporozoite to invade the salivary gland in the vector. So the answer for this question is option B, hypnozoites. Question number 5. A normal woman whose father was hemophilic marries a normal man. What percentage of the is affected? Hemophilia is an X-linked recessive trait and therefore shows its transmission from normal carrier female, that is heterozygous, to male progeny. Due to the presence of defective form of blood clotting factor, exposed blood of affected individuals fails to coagulate. The possibility of a female to be affected by hemophilia is extremely rare, as the mother of a such female has to be at least carrier and the father should be hemophilic. That means father becomes unviable in the later stage of life. The hemophilic females dies before birth. The family pedigree history of Queen Victoria shows a number of hemophilic descendants as she was carrier of disease. So the answer for this question is option C, 50% sons are affected. Question number 6. In lac operon, the regulator gene is denoted as I gene. Here I indicates inhibitor. The regulator or I gene in lac operon synthesize a repressor protein to regulate the functioning of the structural gene. So the answer for this question is option B, inhibitor. Question number 7. In cattle, homozygous pure lines can be attained by inbreeding. It refers to the mating, that means crossing of closely related individuals within the same breed for 4 to 6 generations. The technique involves mating between superior males and superior females, producing more milk per lactation period of the same breed that is selected and mated in pairs. The progeny obtained as a result of mating are evaluated for superior characteristics. So the answer for this question is option D, mating of related individuals of same breed. Question number 8. Beverage sake of Japan is obtained from. Sake is also spelled. Sake is a traditional alcoholic drink in Japan, also known as Nihansu, Japanese liquor. It is the country's national beverage. Sake is essentially rice. So it has many variations of rice flavors from sweet to steamed to burnt. Process to make sake is multiple parallel fermentation. In this process, starch in the rice is converted to sugar, which is followed by alcoholic conversion. So the answer for this question is option B, rice. Question number 9. Choose the incorrect statement. Here there are 4 statements are given. Biogenesis is any process by which life forms produced from earlier life. This theory discards the theory of spontaneous origin or theory of abiogenesis proposed by Aristotle. Francesco Reddy and Lazzaro Spallanzani, through their classic experiments, independently disapproved the theory of spontaneous generations. The environment, absence of oxygen, so it was reducing in nature. Gradually, cyanobacteria evolved and made the environment oxidizing in nature. This was due to the oxygenic photosynthesis activities performed by these primitive prokaryotes. So the answer for this question is option C. Francisco Reddy and Spallanzani disapproved the theory of biogenesis. Question number 10. Which of the following human diseases can be investigated by transgenic models? Transgenic animals are used for testing the safety of vaccines, drugs, studying diseases like cystic fibrosis, hemophilia, cancer, and Alzheimer's diseases, and study of complex growth factors such as insulin-like growth factors, and have provided new insights into the genetic origin of certain diseases and have improved our understanding of pathological process on the cellular level. So the answer for this question is option D of the above. Question number 11. The concentration of polychlorinated biphenyls. It is an organochloride contaminant in many fish populations has been declining since a ban on their production was late 1970s. PCBs remain a potential problem. However, because they are lipophilic and are known to biomagnify, on the basis of this knowledge, determine the fish which is expected to be safest for human consumption. A phenomenon is known as biomagnification, which refers to an increase in the concentration of toxic substances at successive trophic levels in an aquatic food chain. This occurs because a poisonous substance which neither can be metabolized nor can be excreted is accumulated by an organism and is thus passed on to the next higher trophic level in its original form. In many fish populations, the concentration of polychlorinated biphenyls has been declining since a ban on their production was 1970s. So the answer for this question is option C. Small young fish. Question number 12. The transverse binary fission occurs in. Binary fission is the process of asexual reproduction in which the parent organism divides into two halves depending upon the plan of division. Binary fission may be simple, longitudinal, transverse, and oblique. Transverse binary fission is seen in paramecium. In this method, an organism is divided into two parts by transverse plan. No variations are seen in this method as meiosis is absent. So the offspring is almost identical to replica of their parents. So the answer is option C, paramecium. Question number 13. Choose the wrong statement about contraceptive method. Diaphragms are inserted into the female reproductive tract to cover the cervix before the intercourse. It prevents sperms from reaching the egg. Spermicidal jellies, creams, and foams are generally used along with these devices to increase its efficiency. It provides little protection against sexually transmitted diseases and cervical cancer. So the answer for this question is option C. Diaphragm is an example of female condom and protects against STI is given. So that is the wrong statement. Question number 14. Outbreeding device which avoids autogamy as well as geitonogamy is. Outbreeding devices, majority of flowers produce hermaphrodite flowers. Both male and female reproductive parts are produced on the same flower, and thus pollen grains are likely to come in contact with the stigma of the same flower. Thus, flowers have developed features that can prevent self pollination and encourage cross pollination. So, the answer for this question is option C. Number 15. Read the given statements on the ecosystem and choose appropriate option. Abiotic components, the non-living factors are the physical environmental factors such as climatic, edaphic, or topographic factors prevailing in an ecosystem constitute the abiotic components. Biotic components, all living organisms such as plants, animals, and microorganisms that are present in the environment constitute the biotic components of the ecosystem. Circulation or exchange of nutrients elements between the living and non-living components of an ecosystem called as nutrient cycle or biogeochemical cycle. So the answer for this question is option D. From the given four statements, option A, B, and C are correct. Question number 16. Choose the option which indicates mismatched pair. A sociobiologist, Edward Wilson, coined and popularized the term biodiversity. Ecologist Paul Ehrlich gave the Rivet Popper hypothesis to understand the contribution of species richness. In his hypothesis, he compared species with the rivet of an aeroplane. In an aeroplane, that is ecosystem, all parts are joined using thousands of rivets, that is called as species. If every passenger start popping out a rivet causing a species to become extinct, it may not affect flight safety initially. That means proper functioning of the ecosystem. But over the period of time, the plane becomes dangerously weak and will not be able to fly. So, if the species present in the ecosystem are reduced, the ecosystem will collapse. David Tillman, in his outdoor experiments, suggested that when the diversity is more, the productivity will also be more, and Robert May provide a rough estimation of 7 million species globally. So the answer for this question is option D. Paul Ehrlich, the term biodiversity. Question number 17. Sperms are produced in. The seminiferous tubules are highly coiled tubules present in the testicular lobules that act as primary site of spermatogenesis. They consist of a germinal epithelium which is lined by two types of cells. The male germ cells, otherwise called as spermatogonia, and Sertoli cells. Sperm production is carried out in these tubules with the help of the Sertoli cells, which provide nutrition to the developing sperms and androgens produced by Leydig cells. So the answer is option C, seminiferous tubule. Question number 18. Secondary xylem and phloem in dicot stem are produced by. Vascular cambium is present in between the primary xylem and phloem. The part of the vascular cambium in between xylem and phloem is intrafascicular or fascicular cambium. At the time of secondary growth, the parenchyma cells of medullary rays between the vascular bundles becomes meristematic and form a strip of cambium called interfascicular cambium, which is secondary in origin. Both the interfascicular and intrafascicular cambium together forms cambial ring. So the answer for this question is option C, vascular cambium. Question number 19. Methanogens belong to. Archaebacteria are different from the other bacteria in having different cell wall structure. Archaebacteria is unique since they live in some of the extreme environmental conditions such as hot springs, extremely salty areas to marshy areas. Methanogens can convert carbon dioxide, methanol, formic acid into methane, so are called methanogens. They are abundantly found in the cattle yard because they are present in excreta of cattle. So the answer for this question is option B, Archaebacteria. Question number 20. Antidiuretic hormone has the most abundant receptors in the kidneys of. Antidiuretic hormone, it is commonly called as ADH, is one of the hormone that efficiently monitors and regulates the functioning of kidneys. Osmoreceptors within the kidneys are activated due to changes in the blood volume, body fluid volume, and ionic concentration, and excessive fluid loss from the body activities. These receptors, this causes the stimulation of the hypothalamus to secrete the antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin from the neurohypophysis. So the answer for this question is option D. Rats in deserts. Question number 21. Gout occurs because of. Gout or gouty arthritis is characterized by the accumulation of uric acid crystals as monosodium salts in the synovial joints, especially of the great toe. Gout is related to protein diet, so the patient should avoid meat. The four phases of gout include asymptomatic hyperuricemia, acute gouty arthritis, intercritical gout, and chronic toposious gout. So the answer is option C, due to the accumulation of uric acid crystals. Question number 22. Brace roots are. There are three types of root systems such as taproot system, fibrous and adventitious root system. The taproot system is more common in dicots. The primary root is formed from the radicle, persists over long time. The fibrous root system is more observed in monocots where the primary root is short-lived and replaced by the number of fine fibrous roots developing from the base. The adventitious root system is found in both dicots and monocots. They branch out like a taproot from any part of the plant other than radicle, from, for example, brace roots. So the answer for this question is option A, adventitious supporting roots. Question number 23. The role of the bone marrow in mammal is to. In the central region of the hollow cavity of a long bones, bone marrow is present. It is of two types, red bone marrow and yellow bone marrow. The red bone marrow in mammal is the main site of hematopoiesis. It is the mainly composed of hematopoietic stem cells and supportive areola cells. The yellow bone marrow is mainly composed of adipose tissue that stores white fat. So the answer for this question is option B, act as hemopoietic tissue. Question number 24. Choose the odd one out. Sympathetic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is a system which control internal environment or working of visceral organs. It gives response to internal receptors and is involuntary. It contains only motor nerve fibers. It is made up of two components, sympathetic nerve system and parasympathetic nerve system. Sympathetic nerve system is formed by branches from thoracic spinal nerves, lumbar spinal nerves, hence it is called thoracolumbar outflow. It has two sympathetic cords present on either sides of the vertebral column. Each cord contains 22 ganglia. So the answer is option D. It has stimulatory influence on all involuntary organs it supplies. So that is the hard one. Question number 25. The spores produced in capsule in mass germinate to form haploid structures referred as. The predominant phase in the life cycle of bryophytes is haploid and it is called gametophyte. The gametes are formed in the gametangia called the antheridia for the production of male gametes and the archegonia for the production of female gametes. Gametic fusion result in the formation of diploid sporophyte, which is partially parasitic on the gametophyte, and it is represented by a foot, seta, and a capsule. The capsule contains the spores, which are developed due to meiosis. So the spores germinate under suitable conditions and develop into the zoanal filamentous protonema stage. Finally, the protonema develops into a mature gametophyte. So the answer for this question is option side is major limiting factor for photosynthesis. The carbon dioxide concentration is very low in the atmosphere between 0.03 and 0.04%. That means 300 to 400 ppm. This concentration of carbon dioxide is for below the optimum requirement of photosynthesis. The minimum carbon dioxide concentration below which there is no net absorption of carbon dioxide and the rate of photosynthesis equal to the rate of respiration is called compensation point. The maximum carbon dioxide concentration at which photosynthesis takes place but beyond which photosynthesis takes place is called as saturation point. Very high concentration of carbon dioxide causes closure of stomata. As a result, rate of photosynthesis decreases. So the answer for this question is option C, tomato and sugar cane. And D, protonema. Question number 26. The hormone involved in metabolism of food material in cereal grain during germination is gibberellin is a class of plant growth regulator. This hormone was discovered from fungus Gibberella fugicori. Gibberellin is a class of plant growth regulator. This hormone was discovered from the fungus Gibberella fugicori class Deuteromycetes, whose perfect stage was assigned to Fusarium moniliforme. This fungi causes Bacchanae disease or Bacchanae foolish seedling disease of rice. This causes rice plants to grow unusually taller, spindle shaped, pale green in color, and production of rice much lesser. So the answer is option C, gibberellic acid. Question number 27. Identify the correct descending order of the following bacteria with reference to the number of flagella. Flagella, these are long thread-like structures concerned with motility of some bacterial cells. The flagellum consists of identical 3 to 8 subunits called as flagellin. Unique protein molecules are arranged helically along the axis to give a hollow tube. It has no definite membrane. The flagellum is attached to the cell membrane by a unique terminal hook, which in turn it is attached to the basal body. The 360-degree rotation of the flagellum induces the cell to spin the move forward. Name of the bacterium descending order or the number of flagella: peritrichus, amphitrichus, lopotrichus, monotrichus. So the answer for this question is option B. 28. C3 plants respond to the higher carbon dioxide concentration by showing increased rates of photosynthesis, leading to higher productivity. This feature has been used for some greenhouse crops such as 29 thick layer of fat below the skin known as blubber helps in reduction in loss of body heat. This blubber is characteristic feature of blubber is a thick layer of vascularized adipose tissue that covers the entire body of animals such as seals, whales, and walruses. It is an important part of the marine mammals' anatomy. Blubber stores energy, insulates heat, and increased buoyancy. Blubber insulates marine mammals or helps keep them warm in ice waters. So the answer is option C, seal. Question number 30. Which of these elements is obtained from both minerals and non-mineral sources? Nitrogen is one of the most important components of the body of any living organism. After carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, nitrogen is the element required in very large quantities. So the answer is option B, nitrogen. Question number 31. Bulk of carbon dioxide secreted from body tissues into the blood is present in the form of. There are three ways for the transport of carbon dioxide, which are the following. In dissolved state, approximately 5 to 7% of carbon dioxide transported in a dissolved state in the plasma. Second type, in the form of bicarbonate. The carbon dioxide produced by the tissues goes passively into the blood and enters into the erythrocytes where it reacts with water to form carbonic acid. This reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme present in RBC named as carbonic anhydrase. Immediately after the formation of carbonic acid, it dissociates into hydrogen and bicarbonate. Nearly 70% of carbon dioxide is transported through this blood as bicarbonate. Third method is approximately 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide is transported by erythrocytes as a carbaminohemoglobin. So the answer for this question is option A, bicarbonate in blood plasma and RBCs. Question number 32. The following biomolecule is correct. The presence of phosphodiester bond. Deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid are the chains of polynucleotide which are joined by the phosphodiester bonds. These are two nucleotides are linked by the phosphodiester bond. This bond is formed by the linkage between third carbon atom of one sugar and the fifth carbon atom of the another sugar. The peptide bond links the amino acids in polypeptide. Monosaccharides in polysaccharides are joined by glycosidic bonds. So the answer for this question is option D, nucleic acids in nucleotides. 33. Meiosis 2 leads to. Meiosis 2 is similar to mitosis in that it maintains the number of chromosomes produced at the end of the reduction division, that is service called as equational division, and each chromosome consists of two sister chromatids attached at the centromere. In anaphase 2 of meiosis 2, the centromeres divide so that the two chromatids of each chromosome become separated from each other. So the answer for this question is option B, separation of chromatids and centromeres. Question number 34. Which of the following option is correct regarding an abnormality in which there is an increase in liquidity of fecal discharge? Diarrhea is a medical condition in which the abnormal frequency of bowel movement and enhanced liquidity of the fecal matter can be observed. It also reduces the absorption of food. If it lasts for few days, it can result in dehydration. It can be caused by an infection of the intestinal due to either a virus, bacterium, or parasite. Diarrhea is often caused by the presence of low levels of niacin. So the answer is option C, diarrhea. Question number 35. A cephalopod without a shell is. Mollusca is the second largest phylum of animal kingdom, which includes soft-bodied animals. These animals are usually bilaterally symmetrical, possessing identical left and right halves. However, in some mollusks, adult may become asymmetrical due to torsion, that means twisting during growth. Mollusks are triploblastic coelomates with an organ system levels of organization and unsegmented bodies. A calcareous shell covers the body with a distinct head, visceral hump, and muscular foot. A soft and spongy layer of skin forms thin and delicate covering over the visceral hump called as mantle. The answer for this question is option D, octopus. Question number 36. Chemicals which are released at the synaptic junction are called. The axon's terminal end is telodendria and button-shaped structure called synaptic knob, which possesses synaptic vesicles containing chemicals called neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are molecules that transmit signals from neurons to muscles or between different neurons based on the neuron's chance of firing an action potential. They can be excitatory like epinephrine, norepinephrine, or it may be inhibitory like GABA serotonin. So the answer is option B, neurotransmitter. Question number 37. Aldosterone is the major. Mineralocorticoids include aldosterone, deoxycorticosterone, etc. These are secreted by zona glomerulosa of the adrenal cortex. Their secretion is stimulated by a decrease in sodium level. Secretion of aldosterone is stimulated by ACTH and angiotensin of RWAS. These maintain hyponatremia and hypokalemia by increased sodium reabsorption from the nephritic filtrate. So the answer is option C, mineralocorticoid. 88. Respiratory quotient of fatty acid is. Respiratory quotient is the ratio of volume of carbon dioxide released to the volume of oxygen taken in respiration, and it is mathematically expressed as respiratory quotient equal to the volume of carbon dioxide evolved by the volume of oxygen consumed. The value of respiratory quotient varies with the substrate. Thus, the measurement of respiratory quotient gives some idea of the nature of the substrate being respired in a particular tissue. Respiratory quotient is usually measured by Ganong's respirometer. When fat or oil is as the respiratory substrate, the respiratory quotient value is generally lesser than 1 around. That means 0.7. For example, in the case of tripalmitin, the reaction can be written in the equation. So the answer for this question is option B, 0.7. Question number 39. Progressive degeneration of skeletal muscle, mostly due to genetic disorder, occurs in. Muscular dystrophy is a group of inherited diseases that damage and weaken your muscles over time. This damage and weakness is due to the absence of protein called as dystrophin, which is necessary for normal muscle function. The absence of this protein can cause problems with walking, swallowing, and muscle coordination. Myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disorder that affects the neuromuscular junction, causing weakness, fatigue, and paralysis of skeletal muscles. Tetany is a rapid spasm, that means wild contractions in muscles caused due to low calcium ion in body fluid. Arthritis is the inflammation of joints, and osteoporosis is characterized by the decrease in bone mass, which may increase the chances of fractures. So, the answer for this question is option B, muscular dystrophy. Question number 40. Choose the correct option regarding the number of genotypes in Mendelian dihybrid cross. Dihybrid cross is cross occurring between two genes having two distinct traits. Genotypic ratio of dihybrid cross can be calculated by Punnett square. For a normal dihybrid cross, genotypic ratio is 1 is to 2 is to 1, 2 is to 4 is to 2, 1 is to 2 is to 1. So genotype are 9. So the answer for this question is option D, 9. Question number 41. Which of the following statement is wrong? Neanderthal man had an orthognatous face. The skull bones were thick. The forehead was low and slanting, and the eyebrow ridges were heavy. The jaw was deep with no chin. Their cranial capacity was 1450 cc. They buried their dead body and believed in the presence of soul. Language center developed. So the answer for this question is option D. Neanderthal man had a pronathous face. Question number 42. Choose the appropriate option for A, B, C and D in the given figure. The relative contribution of various greenhouse gases to global warming. The gas which contributes the most global warming is carbon dioxide, around 60%. Methane occupies the next position with 20%. Chlorofluorocarbon occupies 14%, and nitrous oxide occupies 6%. So the answer for this question is option D. Question number 43. Read the following statements. From the given statements, which of the above statements are correct for angiosarcoma? Sarcoma is the tumor of connective tissue, the tissue that formed from mesenchymal cells or mesodermal cells. Angiosarcoma is a type of sarcoma that is cancer of the endothelial cells that line in the lymphatic vessels, walls, or blood vessels. Most of the tumors of lymphatic and visceral blood vessel walls undergo rapid division, that means erratic, and are carried by the lymphatic flow or blood flow easily metastasis to distinct sites and are cancerous, that mean malignant. So the answer for this question is option C. From the given four statements, statement A and C are correct about angiosarcoma. Question number 44. Xenia refers to the effect of pollen on. The direct effect of pollen on embryonic and endospermic tissue is known as xenia. Xenia is the effect of pollen grains on the fruits and seeds of the plant. The pollen has significant effect on the next generation of the plants. It could have effect on the fruit color, size, maturity, etc. Xenia effect results in the different colors of the maize kernels. Xenia effect results in the different colors of maize kernels. So the answer for this question is option A, endosperm. Question number 45. Choose the correct option regarding the process in which morphogenetic movements takes place and cells occupy their definite position to form three germ layers. Gastrulation is the process by which a blastula converts into gastrula. During gastrulation, morphogenetic movements occur and a three-layered embryo made of ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, enclosing a new cavity called as harkenteron. Neurulation is the embryonic stage that forms neurula. Notogenesis is the development process to form notochord by epiblast. Morpholaxis is the process of regeneration of lost or dead tissue. So the answer for this question is option B, gastrulation. Question number 46. Given diagram illustrates an evolutionary tree. From the given diagrammatic representation, which of the following statements can be deduced from the given evolutionary tree? The given cladogram is indicating that all the life forms arise from a common ancestor having similar genetic material, codon, and central dogma can be considered as a evidence to it. Mitochondria arise due to endosymbiosis of aerobic bacteria and similar endosymbiosis of the photosynthetic bacteria give rise to the chloroplast. Thus, it can be interpreted that earlier eukaryotes might be anaerobic, later they become aerobic plants, animals, and fungi all have mitochondria, but chloroplast is unique to the kingdom Plantae. So the answer for this question is option B. From the given statements, 1, 5, and 6 statement are related to the given diagrammatic representation. Question number 47. Choose the correct option regarding discoid stem without any stored food. Some plants adapt as the underground stem modification system in which stem that is derived from stem tissues exist under the soil surface, and one such example is a bulb. The bulb has highly condensed disc-like or discoid stem with its upper surface ends a terminal bud with fleshy scaly leaves. The adventitious roots arise from the lower region of the bulb with the presence of tunica. A tunicated bulb is covered by a sheath of dry scale leaves. Example, onion, Allium cepa, and garlic, Allium sativa. So the answer for this question is option D, Allium. Question number 48. Among the following biogeochemical cycle, which one does not have losses because of respiration? Phosphorus is a major constituent of biological membranes, nucleic acid, and cellular energy transfer systems. Many animals also need large quantities of this element to make shells, bones, and teeth. The natural reservoir of phosphorus is rock, which contain phosphorus in the form of phosphates. When rocks are withered, minute amount of these phosphates dissolve in the soil solution and are absorbed by roots of plants. Herbivores and other animals obtain this element from plants. The waste products and dead organisms are decomposed by phosphate solubilizing bacteria. So the answer for this question is option D. Question number 49. Cockroach, the body cells discharge their nitrogenous waste in the hemolymph, specifically in the form of. In cockroach, the excretion is performed by Malpighian tubules. The glandular and ciliated cells lined each tubule through the hemolymph. The tubules absorb nitrogenous waste products and convert them into uric acid, which is excreted out through the hindgut in the form of potassium urate. The cockroach is uricotelic. Along with Malpighian tubule, the fat body nephrocytes and uricose gland also help in excretion. So the answer is option B, potassium urate. Question number 50. Walking fern is referred so as adiantum belonging to Pteropsida or Phelicopsida is called walking fern. The leaf tip is used for the vegetative propagation. The Pteridophyta is classified broadly into four classes such as Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Spinopsida, and Pteropsida. So the answer for this question is option D. It spreads and propagates vegetatively by its leaf tips. Question number 51. The haploid content of human DNA is. The human genome is a complete set of nucleotide sequence present in 23 pairs of chromosomes in the cell nuclei. The haploid genome, which is found in the germ cells like sperms and eggs before the formation of diploid zygote, consists of nearly 3 billion DNA base pairs. It is approximately 3.3 into 10 to the power of 9 base pairs or 3.3 GP for the haploid genome, and double the amount or 6.6 into 10 to the power of 9 base pairs or 6.6 GB in the diploid genome. So the answer is option B, 3.3 into 10 to the power of 9 base pairs. Question number 52. Cabbage is a biennial plant which produces flowers in the second year of growth. In an attempt to make it flower in single year, four potted plants such as 1, 2, 3, and 4 of cabbage were subjected to different temperatures for several days as given in the table. Which potted plant will show flowering? So see the tabular column which is given. From the given tabular column, the low temperature required for vernalization is usually 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. In nature, the plants requiring vernalization are generally biennials, such as cabbage, sugarcane, which complete their life cycle in 2 years. They germinate and grow vegetatively in the first year and gives rise to flowers in the second year of the growth. These plants fulfill their cold need during winters. Although such biennial plants can be made to flower in one growing season by giving low temperature treatment, 0 to 5 degrees Celsius temperature to young plants or moistened seeds. So the answer for this question is option 1. Question number 53. Read the following statements and select the correct option. Human beings have 23 pairs of autosomes and 1 pair of sex chromosomes. All the ova are haploid formed by females are similar in their chromosomes type, that is 22 plus X, therefore females are homogametic. Male individuals are produced. There are two types of sperms. 50% of sperms bear X chromosome while the remaining 50% has Y chromosome besides the autosomes. There is an equal probability of fertilization of the ovum with the sperm carrying either X or Y chromosome. If ovum fertilizes with 22 plus X chromosome type sperm, the zygote develops into female. That means 44 autosomes and double X allosomes. And the fertilization of ovum with 22 autosomes with Y type of sperm results into the male individual with 44 autosomes and XY chromosome. Thus, the genetic makeup of sperm determine the sex of the child. So, the answer for this question is option B. From the given statement, only B is incorrect. Question number 54. Sexual deceit is employed by. The relationship between two organisms of different species where both organisms are benefited and none of two are capable of living separately. Orchids of genus Opirus use sexual deception to promote pollination by bees. So one of the petals of the flower bear a resemblance of to the female bee in size, color, and markings, thus attracting male bees. The male bee perceives it as female and pseudo copulates with the flower. In that process, it pollinates the flower. It shows an example of co-extinction and co-evolution. So the answer for this question is option A. Ovaries to get pollinated. Question number 55. What is common to Lantana, Icarnia, and African catfish? Lantana Icarnia. Icarnia is commonly called as water hyacinth, and African catfish, that is Clarius garipinus. All are exotic species which are invasive in nature. Alien or exotic or non-native species are in the new species entering a geographical region. So the answer for this question is option D. All these species are neither threatened nor indigenous species of the India. Question number 56. The toxin of Bacillus thuringiensis is activated by. In Bacillus thuringiensis, Bt toxin is produced by the CRY gene, that is cry gene. It releases the toxin in an inactive state, but once it enters the insect gut, the alkaline pH of gut activates the toxin. In cotton, Cry1AC and Cry2AB are effective against bollworm, while Cry1AB is used to control corn borers. So the answer is option C. Alkaline pH of insect gut. Question number 57. Which contributes most to the transport of water from the soil to the leaves of a tree? The transpiration pull and cohesion of water are the dominant contributors to the water transport from soil to leaves. Cohesion theory was put forward by Dixon. The cohesion among the water molecule allows the formation of continuous water column from the top to root tip. The water is conducted via xylem tracheids and xylem vessels whose walls are lignified and has affinity for water molecules. So the answer for this question is option B. Cohesion of water and transpiration pull. Question number 58. Which of the following is placed over the slurry in a biogas plant? The biogas plant consists of a concrete tank 10 to 15 feet deep in which bio waste are collected and slurry of dung is fed. A floating cover is placed over the slurry which keeps on rising as a gas is produced in the tank due to microbial activity. This is also called as gas holder. It has an outlet which is connected to pipe to supply biogas to nearby houses. Answer for this question is option B. Floating cover. Question number 59. Chemiosmotic hypothesis. The chemiosmosis is the process of moving protons across the membrane resulting in the generation of an electrochemical gradient that can be used to drive ATP synthesis. In 1961, a British biochemist Peter Mitchell proposed chemiosmotic hypothesis to describe the mechanism by which ATP synthesis occurs in chloroplast and mitochondria. In chloroplast and mitochondria, both the ATP synthesis is linked to the development of a proton gradient across the membrane. So the answer for this question is option D. All of the above related to chemiosmotic hypothesis. Question number 60. A commercial fiber of seed epidermal origin is. Cotton is a soft fiber which grows in a protective capsule around the seeds of cotton plant of a genus Gossypium. The fiber is almost cellulose. Under natural conditions, it increases the dispersion of seeds, and the fibers of cotton are long and single-celled epidermal cells. So the answer is option B, cotton. Question number 61. Intermediate common to fatty acid and carbohydrate oxidation is acetyl-CoA is a common intermediate for fatty acid and carbohydrate oxidation. Long chain fatty acids are degraded to form many acetyl-CoA, that is two carbon molecules, by a process called as beta oxidation. During the carbohydrates metabolism, acetyl-CoA is formed after link reaction. The link reaction, if sufficient oxygen is available, each 3 carbon pyruvate molecule enter into the mitochondrial matrix. So the answer for this question is option B, acetyl-CoA. Question number 62. STDs may lead to the complications like sexually transmitted diseases, commonly called as STD, venereal diseases, or reproductive tract infections. STDs are found across all age groups but are the more prevalent in the organism of age 15 to 24 years. The answer for this question is option D, all of these. Question number 63. Botanical name of black gram is Vigna mungo, or the other common names like black gram, woodbine, black mung bean, etc. So the answer for this question is option D, Vigna mungo. Question number 64. This one is used during hemodialysis to prevent blood coagulation. Heparin is an anti-clotting factor or anticoagulant that prevents coagulation of blood and undamaged blood vessels. So the answer for this question is option C, heparin. Question number 65. Among the following, where do you think the process of decomposition would be the fastest? Earthworm are referred to as the farmer's friend because they help in breakdown of complex organic matter as well as loosening of the soil. Similarly, decomposers break down complex organic matter into inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, water, and nutrients, and the process is called as decomposition. So the answer for this question is option A, in tropical rainforest. Question number 66. CJD caused by prion protein is seen in prions. In modern medicine, certain infectious neurological diseases were found to be transmitted by an agent consisting of an abnormally folded protein. The agent was similar in size to viruses. These agents were called prions. The most notable diseases caused by prions are bovine spongiform encephalopathy, commonly called mad cow disease in cattle, and it is analogous variant Jacob disease in humans. The answer for this question is option C, humans. Question number 67. Select incorrectly matched pair. Mendel experimented with a Gordon P for 7 characters. In each case, he found that in a dissimilar pair of factors, example capital T, small t, only one is available to express its effect, that is called a dominant factor. The other factor which does not show its effect is known as recessive factor. So the answer for this question is option D, multiple alleles. All alleles present on different locus on same chromosome. So that is incorrectly matched pair. Question number 68. In man, there is an enlargement of hand, feet, nose, and lower jaw. These are the symptoms found in. It is caused by the hypersecretion of growth hormones after adolescence. the bones abnormally increase in size. So the answer for this question is option C, acromegaly. Question number 69. How many nucleotides will be present in a DNA of 20,000 base pairs? A salient features of DNA double helix structure of bDNA proposed by Watson and Crick. DNA consists of two polynucleotide chains. The backbone of the DNA is constituted by sugar, phosphate, and base. The two chains of DNA run in anti-parallel fashion with polarity in one and polarity in another chain. The bases of two parallel strands are paired by hydrogen bonds to form the base pairs. Adenine forms two hydrogen bonds with thymine from the opposite parallel strand, and vice versa. Similarly, guanine binds with cytosine with three hydrogen bonds formed. In a complete turn, there are 10 nucleotides on each strand connected by 10 base pairs, and hence one complete turn will have 20 nucleotides from both the strands. So the DNA is having 20,000 base pairs will have 40,000 nucleotides on each strand connected by 20,000 base pairs. So the answer for this question is option B, 40,000. Question number 70. Though the total number of follicles in the ovaries of a normal young woman is about 4 lakhs, the duration between menarche and menopause is limited. This is attributed to the total number of follicles in both the ovaries of a normal young adult woman is about 4 lakhs, out of which an approximate 500 eggs mature because many ovarian follicles during primary oocyte stage undergoes degeneration. This degenerative process of follicle is called as follicular atresia, and such follicles are known as atretic follicles. So the answer is option A, follicular atresia. Question number 71. In cell cycle, new cell organelles are formed in the sequence of events by which a cell duplicates its genome, synthesizes the other constituents of the cell, and eventually divide into two daughter cells in termed as cell cycle. There are two main phases that takes place during cell cycle. One is interphase and another one is division phase. The interphase lasts for more than 95% of the cell cycle. The M phase lasts for less than 5% of the cell cycle. During interphase cell cycle, new cell organelles are formed. So the answer for this question is option D. Question number 72. Skin of birds contain some of the general characteristics of aves. They are genuinely flying vertebrate having feathered bipeds, wings are modified forelimbs, have streamlined body and possesses beak. Modified hind limbs are present which generally have scales. The skin of bird is without any gland except the preen gland or oil gland or uropygial gland, which is for the purpose of lubrication of feathers, and it is present at the base of tail. So the answer is option C, oil gland in the region of tail only. Question number 73. The chronic use of drugs and alcohol result in the use of drugs and alcohol during adolescence may produce long-term effects. It could lead to heavy consumption in adulthood. The chronic or excessive use of these addictive drugs and alcohol damage the nervous system and liver, causes cirrhosis. These drugs and alcohol also produce harmful effects. So the answer for this question is option C, cirrhosis and nervous system damage. Question number 74. Go through the following matches. From the given matches, which of these are correct? From the given matches, China rose shows twisted aciation, Kelotropis shows velvet estivation. Gulmer shows ascendingly imbricate estivation. P shows descendingly imbricate estivation. So all are correctly given. So the option is D. Correct. Question number 75. There are several ventricles in the brain, and some of these ventricles are connected by foramen of Monroe. This foramen connects X, which are located in the Y of the brain. X and Y stand respectively for. The human brain has four ventricles, which are interconnected with each other. The ventricles are fluid filled spaces which are filled with and the help of circulation of cerebrospinal fluid. One and two ventricles are present, one in each cerebral hemisphere. They are also called as lateral ventricles or paracel. The third ventricle is present in the diencephalon. It is also called diastole. The fourth ventricle is present in pons. It is generally called as minor part and medulla oblongata. It is also called as metacele or myelocele. So the answer for this question is option D. Lateral ventricle and third ventricle in cerebral hemispheres and diencephalon. Question number 76. The first R sound is produced during each cardiac cycle. Two prominent sounds are produced which can be easily heard through stethoscope. These are known as heart sounds. The opening between the atria and ventricles are guarded by atrioventricular valves. The atrioventricular valves between the right atrium and right ventricle has three flaps or cusps and is therefore called the tricuspid valve. So the answer for this question is in the beginning of ventricular systole due to close down of AV valves, that is atrioventricular valves. So the correct option is option C. Question number 77. Which of the following is correct? The action of hormones which interact with membrane bound receptors. From the given four statements, the hormone which interact with membrane bound receptor are basically peptide derivatives. These hormones are hydrophilic and lipophilic. These hormones are hydrophilic and lipophilic and hence they cannot cross the plasma membrane freely. So the answer for this question is option C. They generate secondary messenger. So that is the incorrect statement from the given four statement. Question number 78. Chloroplast. Chloroplast are organelles, rather specialized compartments found in plant and algal cells. The first role of chloroplast is to conduct photosynthesis, where the photosynthetic pigment chlorophyll captures the energy from sunlight and converts it and stores it within the energy storage molecules ATP and NADPH while freeing oxygen from water. So the answer for this question is option D, are involved in the synthesis of sugar. Question number 79. Which of the following pairs of animals has non-glandular skin? Aves have dry skin and don't contain any glands except exocrine gland at the bottom of the tail. So the answer for this question is option B, chameleon and turtle. Question number 80. The chitinous exoskeleton of arthropods is formed by the polymerization of N-acetyl-glucosamine is a monosaccharide derivative of glucose. N-acetyl-glucosamine is formed by the amide bond between glucosamine and acetic acid. So the answer for this question is option C, N-acetyl-glucosamine. Question number 81. Given 1. Natural selection, 2 is variations and their inheritance, 3. Survival of fittest, 4. Struggle for existence. According to Darwinism, which of the following represent the correct sequence of events in the origin of new species? So the option D is correct sequence. Struggle for existence will come first. Variations and their inheritance will come second. Survival of the fittest, that is the third one. Natural selection is the fourth one. So that is the correct sequence. Question number 82. Evolutionary biologists believe that the success of mammals is largely due to their ability of osmoregulation and thermoregulations are the two processes that the body uses return to homeostasis. Birds and mammals are warm-blooded animals maintaining fixed body temperature despite changes in the external environment. Osmoregulation affects osmotic pressure while thermoregulation affects the internal temperature of an organism. So the answer for this question is option B, thermoregulation and osmoregulation. Question number 83. The system of Bentham and Hooker includes the following number of families. Bentham and Hooker classification includes 202 families in their book Genera Plantarum, in which 165 families are of dicotyledons, 3 families are gymnosperms, and 34 families of monocotyledons. So the answer is option A, 202. Question number 84. Dash united the knowledge of chromosomal segregation with Mendelian principles and called it the Sutton worked on grasshoppers and Bovary worked on sea urchins. Observed that the behavior of chromosome was parallel to the behavior of genes during meiosis and mitosis. Sutton united the knowledge of chromosomal segregation with Mendelian principles and proposed chromosomal theory of inheritance. So the answer for this question is option B, Sutton chromosomal theory of inheritance. Question number 85. Extricate leaves are present in Tridax procumbens. It belongs to the family Asteraceae. Leaf without stipule is called as extricate leaf. Example Solanaceae, Liliaceae, etc. Example option B, Tridax procumbens. Question number 86. Spodia, flagella and myonims are present in Mastiamoeba is a genus of class Archamoeba in the kingdom Protista. They may exist as amoeboid flagellates, aflagellate amoeba, multinucleate amoeba, and as cyst. So the answer for this question is option C, mastic amoeba. Question number 87. Which of the following is an example of gene therapy? Replacement of faulty gene by a normal healthy functional gene is called as gene therapy. Adenosine deaminase ADA deficiency can lead to severe combined immunodeficiency. In gene therapy, the cells are extracted from the bone marrow of patient and cultured. Functional ADA, that is cDNA, is then injected to the patient's bone marrow. The process is repeated as the cells are short-lived. So the answer is option D, introduction of gene for adenosine deaminase in persons suffering with severe combined immunodeficiency disease. Question number 88. From inside to outside, retina consists of ganglion cells, bipolar cells, photoreceptor cells. The correct option is option C. Question number 89. Apomixis is development of a plant. Apomixis is the production of seeds without fertilization. So the answer for this question is option C, without fusion of gametes. Question number 90. is the DNA molecule. Two polynucleotide chains are different in the DNA. Two polynucleotide chains are present which have opposite polarity. One chain has 5 to 3 direction polarity while another chain has 3 to 5 polarity. In one polynucleotide chain, at one end, 5 phosphate group is free for making phosphodiester bond, and on the other end, 3 OH group is free. So the polarity is decided based on the position of free OH and phosphate group. So the answer for this question is option B, polarity. Thank you very much for listening our videos. Those who are watching our videos, you are requested to like, subscribe and share to your friends. All the best.